Nightwing is not only one of the most beloved characters in the DC universe, but also one of the most well written. At the surface, Nightwing kind of seems like just a lighthearted, quippy, serious character that's an amazing leader, in most versions anyway. But there's so much more to Dick Grayson that is very subtle. What he stands for, what he means in relation to Batman, and just what he overall symbolizes in the grand scheme of the Bat family, and so on, will be explored in this video. I love Nightwing, one of the best superheroes ever created, and he's extremely important in the overall arc of Batman. This video is all about him, and why he means so much to so many people, including myself. Before we start the video though, I just want to say that if you are not subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. A lot of people that watch my content daily are not subscribed, and I promise I'm not going to disappear anytime soon or be a dead channel, alright? I love doing this. I try to upload these videos often, and I would really appreciate the support. With that being said, let's go ahead and start the video.
Do you at worst?
The psychos just keep getting younger.
Before we talk about Nightwing, I first want to talk a bit about Batman's relation to him, just so the video makes sense with what I'll be talking about. So, Batman, right? We all know his story. Parents shot in an alley, he leaves Gotham to train, comes back and becomes Batman. Batman's persona revolves all around his trauma. It's something he never gets over. The death of his parents put him in a seemingly never-ending cycle of sadness that he can never have closure with. Now, let's relate that to Nightwing's origin, okay? Dick Grayson, part of the Flying Graysons. His parents died doing a stunt that was sabotaged prior to the event. Dick Grayson, like Batman, is now an orphan. However, Dick Grayson was then adopted by Bruce Wayne, eventually became Robin, and once he wanted to be his own hero, he left Gotham and the Robin Alliance and traveled to Bloodhaven, where he became his own superhero, Nightwing. Bruce and Dick Grayson share a similar story in that their parents were both killed early on when they were kids. However, Dick Grayson had the fortune of having someone who understood his pain and was adopted by that person. He had guidance on how to deal with this trauma and was trained by Bruce to make sure he went down a path that Bruce wishes he could have. People say that Batman made Dick Grayson to be just like him, when it's the complete opposite. Batman is aware of his trauma, how much it has essentially ruined his life. He can't ever really be happy. His life revolves around his mission, and there isn't much room for anything else, including happiness. He does whatever he can to make sure that others do not go through what he has to, and that's why he's adopted Dick Grayson. He adopted Dick Grayson to give him that guidance in the closure of his parents' death, so that Grayson can move on. And that's the key thing. Grayson can move on with his life because he got the training and help needed to be able to by Bruce Wayne.
A lie of omission is still a lie. You kept an important secret from us. No one in the League knew the truth.
I did.
I shouldn't be surprised, since you indoctrinated Robin into crime fighting at the ripe old age of 9.
Robin needed to help bring the men who murdered his family to justice.
So he could turn out like you?
So that he wouldn't.
There are so many things that makes Nightwing very interesting, from his lighthearted and funny personality to his insane leadership skills. But something very important about him is that he represents what Batman could have been, what Batman wishes he could have been. Nightwing is the product of someone going through those situations of loss and trauma, but not letting it eat him alive, and he instead uses it as a driving force to be a hero, rather than a dark, brooding, depressing warrior like some would describe Batman as. This is why the stories that revolve around Batman and Nightwing acting like enemies or, being on bad terms with each other doesn't make much sense to me when you think about how Nightwing is who he is because he was trained by the best, and he understands and realizes that Bruce, while having very many issues, is still family, and Bruce considers him his son. The best stories are of Nightwing knowing that Batman is a heavily flawed person, and understanding that Batman is maybe long gone from being happy, but also realizing that Bruce may be the best person he's ever known. Which is very interesting because Nightwing himself symbolizes the best version of Batman, someone who has that closure and isn't depressed, being the best person that Batman has ever known. It's a very interesting juxtaposition that I feel is so subtle in a lot of stories between them, and I feel like it hasn't been brought up often in a lot of shows, movies, comics, whatever with Nightwing. because like I said, it's just very subtle. You know, you might just miss it if you just like Nightwing for his other traits.
Bruce! Don't! Bruce! You don't kill. You've never killed. Don't let her win. Don't let her take your soul.
If anything, I have cleansed it. I washed away his trauma. Finish them.
You brought us all together because you understood our pain, our loneliness better than anyone could. We needed family. We needed you.
Shoot him!
You're not just a mask. You're a man. The best man I've ever known.
Nightwing, without that guidance from Batman, may have been another version of Batman. Not necessarily a crime-fighting superhero, but someone who will always be depressed of what he went through. It also fulfills Bruce's mission of making sure what he went through doesn't happen to anybody else. Yes, Nightwing's parents were killed, but he made sure that Nightwing didn't go through that depressing and dark, lonely route that Bruce did. Nightwing is such an interesting character, also because of how he understands that he could have very well easily became just as depressed, and make sure he doesn't go down that route. You know, he does everything he can to make sure that he doesn't go into that never-ending cycle of sadness that Bruce Wayne does. The story of him getting out from being a sidekick and becoming his own hero is extremely well written, as his story is very similar yet completely different from Batman's, right? Nightwing is funny, lighthearted, charming, he brings people together, he's an excellent leader. With his upbringing, it also makes it extremely difficult to traumatize him. You know, Joker actually hates Nightwing for this fact, because he was never able to truly hurt or traumatize Nightwing like he could to the other Robins or Batman. Dick Grayson is also able to find love in relationships, you know, and be happy because he chooses to. He fights every day to make sure he can stay happy. His charisma and personality bring up everybody around him. It's extremely difficult to hate Nightwing. He's such a likable character. He always tries to bring up everyone around him, just off his own merits, the acrobatics, the colors of his suit, the quips he brings to most fights, all make him stand out so well. There's so much about him that I don't think I have ever heard a single person say they dislike Nightwing. Everything I said about him are huge reasons as to why he's such a well-written character, if not damn near perfectly written. Now, obviously, there's different versions of him, and he can be written, like, quote-unquote, poorly, or they disrespect him completely and make him lose fights he shouldn't, or they sideline him. But just in the general character of Nightwing, just his story and who he is, it's so well written, and it just represents so much and symbolizes so much that it just makes him super interesting.
I bet I could stay up here all night.
Sure you can. Dick?
Dick! I was an acrobat, you know?
Fine, you can sit. But you have got to shut up.
I think it can hit a chord with people in real life too, where Nightwing doesn't let his trauma make him depressed, and that can affect people in real life to be the same way, and to fight back against their traumas and their depression and choose to be happy. I think it's a great thing to be able to relate to in this way. I mentioned in other videos as well where the themes and inspirations that come from characters in these comics, in these shows, in these movies, whatever, they always affect people in real life, and I believe Nightwing is no exception. Nightwing's character traits are just simply amazing too, and he takes responsibility before anyone else when he can. He'll take the mantle of Batman if he has to, you know, and he has, even if he doesn't want to. He thinks of others first before himself, and he uses his trauma as a source to drive him to be an inspiration for others. But even without all the other deeper aspects of him, he's just simply very likable. Like I said earlier with his own merits, his traits are just simply likable. He's funny, he's serious, he tries not to put anyone down, he leads by example, he's also just very humble, he does his best to help everyone around him. That is why he's considered one of Bruce's greatest successes, and everything I mentioned just goes to show how amazingly well written he is as a character.
I was just going to suggest you do that. So, here's the part where you tell me off.
I'm proud of you, Dick.
Are you feeling okay?
This is the end. This is the last time we meet.
Don't talk like that. Alright, this won't stop you. Nothing stops you.
Keep Bloodhaven safe. Promise me.
It's okay, Bruce. I get it. You just don't want me hanging around, stealing the limelight.
Dick.
I won't let you down.
I know.
That's all I have to say about Nightwing, though. There's just so much about him and so much subtlety in the nooks and crannies between his character and how he's so similar to Batman, but also completely different, all because of one little thing is where he was trained by someone who has gone through a similar experience that he has, you know? But he needed that help to make sure that what he went through, you know, doesn't affect him and make him go into a depressed mindset. And it's just beautiful the way Nightwing came out and how he's just always happy, you know? He is so different from the Bat family, and he's just so essential to the story of Batman and completes that arc while also being his own individual and amazing and just super well written character. But yeah, like I said, that's all I have to say about Nightwing. If there's something I missed or something you wanted to say, please go ahead and let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for all the recent support. I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe especially. Like I said, a lot of people watch and they're not subscribed, so go ahead and do that. I upload these videos weekly, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys, and goodbye, people.